everybody. Assalamu alaikum. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the notify button so you know when you're getting new episodes. And we just want to grow this project. I thank you in advance. Without further ado, let's get it rolling. The Shoutout Show. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuh, everybody. I'm Preacher Moss, host of the SOS, the Shoutout Show. Please allow me to welcome you to the show. I hope you're having a great day. It's Wednesday, hump day, so I hope you're on the good side, if you will, of a good day. And I want to thank everybody for some of the comments that I got throughout the week on the topics, of course, what happened to me time and our topic yesterday about before we head to the polls. They were two really good shows, and I appreciate all of the input and insight that people shared outside of what I was saying, because what I say is just meant to be a little bit of a setup for what you guys are feeling. So, as always, people, if you have comments, put them in the comment section. And what we do in the comment section, we make sure that we put the stuff on screen. We want people to know that you're thinking, you have emotions, and those emotions are valued on the show. Housekeeping, if it's your first time on the Shoutout Show, listen carefully. We want to welcome you with open arms. That's number one. Number two is, brothers and sisters, hear me out. Please click the subscribe button. Click the link button. We are so close. We had 98 subscribers. Sister Satana has told me if we get to 100 subscribers, we get our own customized link, if you will, for YouTube. And I think we're going to be off to the races. So we're 2 clicks away. Imagine we get 100, folks. 100, we're doing something, man. All by the mercy and the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God Allah. I appreciate everybody that's doing some things. Let me give a shout out to my consultant producer. This is Mr. Sultana Whitfield. I always say Whitfield. I get it mixed up. But any event, this is Sister Sultana. Without her, this program does not happen. Now, to the people that come on the show on a regular, to come to the show in a humble, we appreciate you. Please continue to come on the show. Please continue to share your ideas. Please continue to put your comments in that box, because you know what, this show is so much about you as well. So let me continue to move forward, if you will. So everybody, I want you to understand that we have a different show today. Let me give Brother Mikael, walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, man. Thank you for coming on the show. I want to make sure that you can talk on this show, man. It'd be actually pretty cool. I have a topic. Our topic today is Karens. Karens and white, if you will. Karens and white, I want to say, what's the word I'm looking for? Nice word. Karens and white victimization efforts. But there's a better word than white victimization efforts. It's shorter. It's more concise. Lying. There it is. Lying. White lying. Gosh almighty, man. I feel like a blessed man. Let me start this out by saying there's been a very big, in the last, I want to say, couple of months, particularly around George Floyd, particularly around Ahmaud Arbery. And before that, when we had a black man in Central Park who was jogging, he had a conversation with a white woman about her dog. She called the police. She would threaten to call the police. And the only thing that really saved this brother is that he had his camera on her, and that was the truth. She was using white privilege. She was going to plug in the white privilege to make sure that she made sure that this man got in trouble. Okay. Let me frame this thing out a little bit more. Let me frame this thing out for all of you, because when I go on Instagram now and Facebook and a lot of social media, a lot of the hype now is about Karens. Karens is basically an acronym. It's a demographic of, we could say angry white women, but it's almost like an extension of angry white men. When I say angry white men, meaning they're not necessarily connected to the realities around them, but they're more so connected to the delusion that they have in their mind about privilege, space, and of course, power. Now, what I want to say here is really, really important because I think it's been being missed a little bit. I want everybody who's watching this show, and if you watch the show, tell other people this, because I think this needs to be a reminder. We look at Karen as some new phenomenon. We look at Karen as almost like a novelty, like that old white woman who's arguing and calling people the N-word and F-U N-word and all that type of stuff with this rage and this anger. And she knows that nobody's going to jump on it except for another black woman or another Latina woman. She exercises this power in this space, knowing that if something goes left, she can call or plug into a system that's designed for her. Stop right there. We're not even going to talk about the system. The system has been around a very, very long time. I'm going to talk about something that's a little bit different, if you will. I'm going to start out by saying, stop laughing at these women. Stop highlighting these women. I'm sorry about that, folks. Stop laughing at these women. Stop highlighting these women. What you need to do is take this into account. That these Karens, brothers and sisters, we call them Karens, giving them cute names. These Karens are dangerous. These Karens kill. These Karens have killed. They've inspired all kinds of injustice. They've inspired all kinds of violation of Black life and Black culture. We are looking at the 2020 version of it, but it's a 2020 version that's trying to reimagine itself. It's a 2020 version trying to reimagine what it used to be able to do. It used to be, and I say this because we have to remind ourselves, because for some of the younger viewers, you don't understand the damage that a Karen can do. Let me tell you the damage of a Karen can do. Karens, brothers and sisters, have other names in historical perspective. We're talking about Karens that are, we're talking about like the Carolyn Dublin who indicted an Emmett Till. See, now it's funny. It's not funny, right? We're talking about that Karen that indicted. And we're talking about Fanny Taylor. You know who Fanny Taylor was? Fanny Taylor is the white woman. Hear me out. Fanny Taylor is a white woman in the middle of the Rosewood Massacre. And her testimony is so powerful that she blamed a Black man for attacking her, assaulting her in a white town that Black folk weren't supposed to be in the first place. And so vain to go, I've been attacked, but just guess what? I, brothers and sisters, I have been attacked by this Black man, but he didn't rape me. And that was enough for all the white people. If you ever saw the movie Rosewood, hear me out. There's a scene that opens up. And that scene that opens up in Rosewood is essentially what happens, except for it was dramatized. And what they didn't show you in the movie was when that thing happened, these people, the sheriff, the local enforcement, went and got 500 Klansmen from a neighboring town in Gainesville, Florida, and that started the massacre. This woman never apologized. They never really know the truth, but it gave provocation. And I'm going to get to the reason why in a minute. Mikhail, back me up on this. So, Fanny Taylor in the movie Rosewood, there was actually a Fanny Taylor. There was actually a Sylvester. There's actually a Miss Sarah. Those are real people. I mean, they got moved around. There's some fictional characters in there. The idea of the train coming through to save Black people, that's real. That's real. What's also real is this. What's also real is that this whole thing around this woman, who they didn't know was telling the truth or not. In the movie, it made it seem like she was sleeping with another guy, whatever. It seems weird to me that In the town of Sumner, all white people, black people can't come around unless you're working there. Some escaped slaves are gonna go up there and assault a white woman. I'm like, dude, you already escaped. You already got some issues. However, it stayed. In the case of Emmett Till, a white woman said that this young boy in the store whistled at her. Whistled like, hey, what's going on, girl? Whispered at her. And on her deathbed, she claims that it didn't happen. It does no good for Emmett Till because he was murdered. He was massacred. He was decimated. He was disfigured. And there was no justice. Let me tell you why Karens are dangerous, brothers and sisters. And why you have to look at it right here, right now. Because Trump has done something a lot of us have not understood here. Trump, in his own way, has figured out something that has not been able to been done even before Reagan. Trump has figured out how to somehow reassign, reframe, and reimagine white virtue. That's what it is. In 2020, you're looking at Karen thinking that woman's crazy. No, there's a purpose for a Karen. That Karen is like Betsy Ross sewing the flag with the stars on it. She's like the new Statue of Liberty, brothers and sisters. That Karen stands for white virtue under attack. And when she comes to a black neighborhood to attack black people or Latinos or Muslims, she's standing up for white virtue. And if it's one thing that a white man will stick up for, it's white virtue, whether he's right or whether he's wrong. Now, a few white guys are going to go, wait a minute, preach, you're wrong. And I understand that. I'm saying not you, but a majority of white men would do this, and it makes my case. If you don't believe me, look at Hollywood. Look at Hollywood. Look at how Hollywood treats the virtue of black women and Latino women, and look at how Hollywood treats the virtue of white women. You ever know white women always working? White women always have some kind of clarity and a vision. White women always have some kind of dream that connects to family and love. Black female virtue, struggling. Black female virtue, I ain't work for them. Black female virtue, I'm always questioning my self-value, and it's always connected to the self-value of another person who's the black man, over and over and over and over and over again. And you see it in film, and you see it in TV. I just got off the phone with a young sister. She seems like a very nice sister. She's trying to do some things with podcasts. Maybe we'll work together. Maybe I'll be on her show, host. But I had to break down to this sister. Let me give a shout out to Miss Eleanor, who's done a whole lot to make sure we get to our 100. Miss Eleanor, we 2 people away from 100 for the subscribers. So whoever you see at the blood bank or the liquor store, tell them to subscribe. Let me give a shout out all the way from Indonesia. Sister Ika Ija. Okay. So work with me here. The argument that I'm making, brothers and sisters, is in 2016, in the suburbs, what happened was this. White women voted according to the rules and valuation associated not with white privilege, but with white virtue, which in many regards is stronger than white privilege, because white privilege has to be exacted upon people. White virtue is a mushroom cloud that goes all over. It's like a toxin. It's like a gas. It's like this thing that frames white. I want to exceptionalism, American exception. What are you talking? But I'm saying that people are not getting it right now, and people are going to preach. What are you talking about? There's been Karens all our lives, brothers and sisters. You just don't recognize it. Some of you who went to school and dealt with Karens, you didn't know what was going on. That teacher that didn't really like black kids. That teacher that didn't really like Latino kids. The teacher in the inner city who was there because you couldn't get a job in the suburbs. That lady, brothers and sisters, She was a Karen. Social services hired Karens all throughout the FDR period, all the way up to now. And these Karens, they look at white virtue, but they don't understand black virtue, the power of black family, the unique structuring and existence of black families. They can't understand it because it's always going to be based against white virtue. One of the most popular films in the world, of its time, brother. So I say one in the world. I won't say in the world. One of the most popular films when it came out was what? Birth of a Nation. Birth of a Nation. Let me paint a picture for you with Birth of a Nation. Birth of a Nation was so powerful and so racist that it was given a premiere showing in the White House with the president of that time. The highlight of Birth of a Nation, brothers and sisters, and I want you to frame this. I want you to remember this. Stop BSing around. Remember what I'm saying. The highlight of Birth of a Nation was what? A white woman confronted with a black man, a black slave, rather than be taken by him, which was to infer that he was going to rape him or quote unquote take her virtue. Rather than do that, our heroine jumped off a cliff and killed herself. She would rather jump off a cliff than kill. Look at the power of the visualization I just told you. And now we continue to perpetualize it. These Karens look for conflict. They look for conflict. These Karens look for arguments. These Karens look for opportunity to call you nigger, to call you spick, to call you ragheads, to call you whatever they're going to call you. Because it's a winning formula for them. Lost in the fray between Trump and social justice, it's a question with a lot of white women. What are we going to do? What about us? It's clear. It's very clear. The white racists will kill for the virtue of his woman. He will kill for the virtue of his woman, not necessarily his kids, but his woman. In the meantime, in the midst of this right here, it has some kind of connection to duty, a social fiduciary responsibility to keep things pure and protected. And when I say pure and protected, brothers and sisters, start going back through your mind about movies that you saw where a black man was indicted, popular movies where a black man was indicted by the testimony of a white woman. And put it in the chat. To Kill a Mockingbird. To Kill a Mockingbird. Heat of the Night. There's a whole lot of movies out there, brothers and sisters. They've been putting them out for years. It's interesting that right now, right here, right now, we've summarily forgotten in some regards that this thing has been going on for a long time. And let me clear something up because I don't want to be shaken. Look at the political system. You now have Karens in politics who are doing what? Painting these fatalistic pictures about black life, black family, Muslim life, Muslim family. There's a politician who actually had a campaign, piece of campaign propaganda, promotion, if you will, of her beside Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and her with a rifle. A rifle. This is what white boys used to do. Now, it's this woman, and she's running for political office, and there's a good chance that she'll win. What does that tell you, brothers and sisters? I'm not going to say we're slipping, but I'm going to say this. We're behind. And when I say we're behind, I mean that we've known this stuff. Our aunties and our grandmas and our great-grandmas been telling us a long time, this is who they are. In the words of Maya Angelou, when somebody shows you who they are the first time, Believe them. Believe them. When we get to this point where we start looking at it in terms of entertainment, because that's what Instagram is. Instagram is entertainment. You look at pictures. That's the way it used to be. Then went to videos. Now you can mess around and screw up your whole day looking at Instagram stuff about people's lives that have nothing to do with you. About people's lives. And I told everybody about yesterday about what? Day before yesterday? What I call you? Cognitive surplus. You now have people that are engaged in your cognitive surplus. And one of the people that is doing it is these Karens. They're not just the people who are yelling the N-word. You know, they used to have things called like Daughters of the Confederacy. You daughter, what is it you're gonna celebrate as a daughter of the Confederacy? You have groups like that. You have white citizens groups and things like that. And I'm foolish, we're all foolish to think that that thing just went away. I said something about these presidential candidates that we have, Biden and Trump. And either way, come November, when the dust settles, you're going to get an old white man for president. When I say old white man, I mean an old white man that remembers things. He remembers how they are. And what you cannot find from these old white men is DNA in the 40s and 50s and really the 60s where they stood up and said, you know what? Y'all treating these people wrong. You know what? That's illegal. You know what? That's unconstitutional. You won't see that. And the thing that runs behind them, brothers and sisters, is what? These Karens. These Karens that supported these men for years. And the trade-off is, I will support you in the most ridiculous of things as long as you do what? Protect my white virtue. And let me tell you something about protecting, brothers and sisters. Let me tell you something about protecting something. When you protect something, you've made a commitment mentally, physically, emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually that the thing that you're protecting has value. That's enough in and of itself. But protecting virtue, white virtue, if you will, like white supremacy, requires a foil. It requires a bad guy. It requires a fall guy, if you will, to make those behaviors, those beliefs seem like they're normal. When I talked about cognitive surplus, I talked about thresholds. I say this about all these Karens. All these Karens have very low thresholds for pain. Woo! Let me say that again. All these Karens have low thresholds for pain. Meaning that they can never, ever endure the pain that they have inflicted on people. They cannot even fathom what that pain sounds like, what it feels like, the intensity, if you will. And so they create their own thresholds of pain. You see how ridiculous it is? They frame their own threshold. Ow, that hurt me. Ow, you violated me. They won't even allow real thresholds of pain to be inflicted. Let me show you how it feels. They won't know. They'll tell you, no, you can't tell me how it feels. I know how it feels. Ow, it hurt me right there. And in that disillusionment, in that moral and mental sickness lies the queen, if you will. The queen of white virtue. And that queen, brothers and sisters, is Queen Karen. Queen Karen, if you're out there, let me say from the bottom of my heart, go to hell. Because that's where the rest of y'all are. And that's where the rest of you are going. I have no sympathy. I have no logic. I have no understanding or compassion for people like yourself and the people that you keep churning out in the phrases of people of politicians and worse, in the framework of children and family. You're spiritually corrupt and bereft, if you will, of compassion and any kind of empathy towards anybody. You are the most selfish individuals in the world next to the men you claim, because they are even more selfish, but you won't protect their virtue. So let me say this, and I have to go. That's right, Sultan Ali. You know it. So all the people can understand me clearly, and I'm gonna bounce. So I gotta be someplace. Karens are constructions of unhappiness, sadness, disappointment, and evil. Let me make this point, then I'm gonna go. I'm gonna give a shout out to my man Andy. For you guys who don't know Andy Kukalasi is a good friend of mine, man. His mother she was like a comedy mom to me. She was just an amazing lady. In fact, she probably punched a Karen in the mouth if she was given a chance. That's how Joy was. But let me say this. Our jobs is to point out and deconstruct the environments for the Karens. Not necessarily Karens, the environment for the Karens, because Karens require breeding, if you will. They require environments that allow for that type of activity. And in the age of Trump, they have been disillusioned thinking that, you know what, this is the 50s, this is the 40s, this is the 20s, and you can do this. They can't do it. So my brothers and sisters, as I leave, I employ all of you to push back on the Karens. To when you see them on YouTube and you see them on Instagram, don't laugh at them anymore. Understand that what? Karens are a problem. Karens are dangerous. Karens kill. I'm Preacher Moss on SOS. Everybody, God bless you. Have an incredible day. We'll see you soon, inshallah. Take care. Hey everybody, this is your brother Preacher Moss. Listen, I hope that you enjoyed your Shoutout Show experience. We'll be back with the next show, the next Shoutout Show. A simple ask before you go, please help your brother out. Click that subscribe button, click that notify button, and I'll see you again on this side of the microphone. You probably wonder what that smell is. That's me. I smell good. And the reason I smell good is because I use oils from Tarifa Tar. So I'm not saying you can't smell good. I'm not even saying you stink. I'm saying you have the opportunity to smell exquisite. Check out tarifatar.com for some of the best oils and scents in town. Just a quick note, everybody. Don't forget to fill out your census for 2020. I got it up there, 2020census.gov. And please, don't forget to register to vote. Take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.